Hey guys, Yusef here, and welcome to Movie Thoughts, the show where we talk about movies. Today, we're talking about The Predator, written and directed by Shane Black. The Predator serves as a sequel slash soft reboot to the Predator franchise, and let me tell you, it's a very different film from the previous entries in the franchise. This movie, I'm telling you, this movie was really different. Like, there's really barely any suspense at all. It's really more of a comedic film, really. It's very different. It still follows a similar premise where it's these military badasses going after this predator, and still the same premise, just the execution is vastly different from anything that we had seen in a Predator film. Now, this movie has plenty of flaws. It has some of the most one-dimensional characters I've ever seen on film. The story is awful, it's ridiculous, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But I still enjoyed it. I still had fun watching this movie. It's still a good, it's one of those movies where you can go to the theater. Actually, I wouldn't even go to the theater to see this, it was that bad. But it's one of those movies that you can kind of sit down, have some popcorn, and just enjoy yourself because it's still pretty entertaining. Now granted, this movie, of course, it's an action movie, so it has plenty of set pieces. And for the most part, these set pieces were pretty well made, even though the camera work and the lighting were atrocious. And I do mean atrocious. Like, there are certain things that happen in the film where you kind of have to sit down for a second and think like, wait, what just happened? Because it just goes by so fast and the lighting was so bad that you couldn't even tell what happened. Like, there's a scene where a character dies, and if you literally blinked, you missed a death scene, because it just happened like that. It was just so fast and it was crazy. Now, like I said earlier, this movie is a lot more comedic than the previous entries in the Predator franchise. And I feel like some of the jokes were pretty funny. Others were, they were bad. Like, really bad. Like, wow. Like, there were some very weird, bad jokes in there. But like I said, I still enjoy myself. I still laughed at this movie. I can't say that I laughed with this movie. I laughed at this movie because it was laughably bad. Like, it was cheesy, it was schlocky, and you know how some movies are cheesy and schlocky, but in a good way, like the original Predator. Like, it's a cheesy premise, but it works. Here, it's just cheesy for the sake of being cheesy, and there's no charm to it, but I still had fun with it. That's all I can really say about it. And also, like I explained earlier, this is a very polarizing film, and it's definitely not for everybody, especially if you're a fan of the Predator franchise. If you're going to this movie expecting to see a Predator film, you will be very disappointed because, like I said, it's so different from the previous Predator movies that it just doesn't work. I mean, you do have to give it some props for at least trying something different, because Predator 2 and Predators are kind of all the same movie, they're just in different settings and with different characters. But at least the Predator tried something different. So I can't really fault it for that, even though it crashed and burned, and it was a smoking wreck, and there was such a tragic death toll. It was bad. It was so bad. But I enjoyed it. So for this one, I wouldn't even go to the theater to see it. I saw it because I was very excited to see it in the theater. But this is honestly something that you could rent for a night with your friends. Just have some popcorn, laugh at this movie, because that's really all it's good for. I give Predator a D+. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this Movie Thoughts episode. If there's any movie that you'd like me to cover, please drop it in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications, and join the Cyborg Army today.